Hello, I'm Dr. Stephen Andrew Missick. I'm running for Texas State Legislature, HD 18, and I'm running against the incumbent Ernest Bales. And of course, I'm promoting myself. I'm a conservative, I'm a veteran, I'm a local minister. I believe that we need to fight for our constitutional liberty against the attacks from the left. And I think that Ernest Bales is not good for Texas, and that he's been a very bad legislator. So he has some friends, and I've been accused of libeling him. So I want to say that everything that I put on my push cards is either from things I know personally or heard from his own lips, or things that are coming from news sources. For instance, we have Defend Texas Liberty, and they've been tracking him for a long time. And back in the 2023 election, they're putting out how that he was voting with the Democrats to make sure they maintain their committee chairmanships. So that was something they put out. And just recently, they put out how that he joined with the Democrats to impeach Ken Paxton. And Ken Paxton has been a very effective conservative attorney general. Ken Paxton has been fighting against the Biden administration effectively, and he's been winning against this tyrannical regime which is destroying this country. And actually, this is amazing to show the problem we have with Ernest Bales. So what happened is they want to stop Ken Paxton, the Biden administration. So in Austin, even though we have a Republican majority, the Democrats control the Texas State House. Well, how do they do that? They vote as a block. And all you need to do is get 10 to 12 rhinos and let the Democrats run things. They actually choose the Speaker of the House. So the Speaker will approach the Democrats and say, I want to be Speaker of the House. I want you to all vote for me in block, and we'll peel off some rhinos like Ernest Bales, and there's like 12 others. And that way you'll have your man. You'll maintain control of the Speaker of the House and of the Texas State Legislature. That's what they do. So Ernest Bales is a little minion or toady of Dade Felon. That's what he is. I'm not making this up. You just check it out yourself. So the Biden administration contacted the Democrats in the Texas State Legislature, and they said, we need Ken Paxton taken out of action. You need to impeach them. And they didn't have anything to impeach him over. It was ridiculous nonsense. And I actually received texts, and it's like, that's it? This is absurd. What utter and ridiculous nonsense. So they're trying to take him out of action. They did for several months while this fraud and farce of an impeachment took place. So what happens? The Biden administration contacted the Democrats in the Texas State House, and they had their little minion, Dade Felon, get Ernest Bales and others to help him impeach Ken Paxton, to take him out of the fight for several months, so that the engine of the destructive engine that the Biden administration could rage on undeterred. And he did it. He voted. Ernest Bales voted to impeach Ken Paxton. And thank God Ken Paxton came through that. So now it's been exposed, but this is something that's been going on for a long time. So we have three organizations that are solid conservative organizations that have been opposing Ernest Bales. Number one, Defend Texas Liberty. Number two, Texas Scorecard. I like Texas Scorecard. I think they represent my views as a conservative Republican. And it's the best organization for conservative values, in my opinion, in Texas. God bless Texas Scorecard and everything that they're doing. And then we have Texas Right to Life, right? So Defend Texas Liberty, Texas Scorecard, and Texas Right to Life has been exposing Ernest Bales as a leftist. So with Texas Right to Life, the issue is when he first campaigned, Ernest Bales campaigned as pro-life. When he got to Austin in his first term in office, he began to legislate as pro-abortion, pro-choice, if you will. And he was working with the Democrats to pass pro-abortion legislation. So he received a grade of 43 from Texas Right to Life. And he had to go back. He tried to erase what he did. And I talked to Emily Kibidoo Cook, who ran against him, sadly, unsuccessfully. And she said that the reason why she decided to run against Ernest Bales as a pro-life activist was his pro-abortion record. As an evangelical Christian and a pastor, this is not an ambiguous issue. The scriptures and the teaching of the church are very clear. We have to take the biblical position, which is pro-life. And like I said, I would respect someone more if they were abortionist or pro-abortion and they saw the error of their ways and they became a pro-life activist versus someone who's a liar, who's pro-abortion and claims to be pro-life and actively promotes abortion the way Ernest Bales has. So these are things about Ernest Bales. I'm not making them up. Established conservative organizations have been tracking him. And the issue is he is very bad. He was a Democrat until he decided to run for office. People who know him in Cold Spring told me that. Well, he's a known Democrat. What happened is he wanted to become state legislator, so he realized, I'm going to switch parties. So that's evident. So if you're a conservative, Bible-believing, evangelical Christian that votes Republican, there's an issue with Ernest Bales. And a lot of people support him in this area just because they went to high school with him or were neighbors. And it's like, what about principles? What about convictions? And there's a lot of people, I believe, who have sold out for money. The love of money is the root of all evil. They don't even want to look at his record. They're going to support him regardless. It's like, look, and then on top of that, some of the things I found out that he's done. And these aren't things I'm making up. He was in Houston at a radical left-wing Teachers Association, Teachers Union meeting, campaigning for Democrats to defeat Republicans, and he was wearing a purple t-shirt to show solidarity and his commitment with the left-wing teachers unions to flip Texas from red to purple to blue. He decided to identify himself with that movement to flip Texas blue by wearing a purple shirt to this Flip Texas Blue event. I mean, it's documented in news reports. There are photographs of him doing this. He was campaigning to defeat Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick and campaigning on behalf of the Democrat candidate for that role. And then, I'm looking at these things. So what happened recently is I saw a story. It was on the Texas Scorecard about how the Texas state legislature is trying to take up legislation to secure the border more, right? And Ernest Bales, what he did was they had this committee where they're going to promote some new policies to deal with the border crisis. So Ernest Bales brought in, let's not exclude the Democrats. Let's bring a whole bunch of open border Democrats into our committee to kill any legislation which they could recommend. It's not going to get through the committee because Ernest Bales brought a bunch of Democrats, open border Democrats, to make sure any new policies would be killed by them. That's why he brought these Democrats on. So I was looking for that story. And it turns out he's also supported transitioning and transgenderizing our children. So this was, they're trying to pass a law saying that hospitals that promote transgenderism will not get Texas state funds. Because we don't need Texas taxpayers' money supporting transitioning children. And Ernest Bales joined another group of these Rhino Republicans to kill that legislation. One of the other big issues is Colony Ridge to Ramos, Houston. And with this issue, it is what it is. This is an instant where I've heard in person Ernest Bales express his support for Colony Ridge. Several times I've heard in person Ernest Bales expressed his support for Colony Ridge. What is Colony Ridge? I put a clip in here to show what's going on, but what is happening is outside of Plum Grove and Splendora and south of Cleveland, we have this huge hub of illegal immigration. It's an illegal immigration settlement. What Ernest Bales has done, he boasts about this. I mean, I've heard him, talking about demographic change or our growing school district, and we're going to make sure it grows even more. I got the video of him saying it as well, which I'll put up. So the people behind Colony Ridge Trainers Houston, of course, it's Trey Harris with the support of Ernest Bales and Jay Knight, that are spearheading the movement to change, well, he's already doing it and done it, to change HD 18 into it's a magnet for and a sanctuary zone for illegal aliens. And the fact of the matter is there's cartel activity in Colony Ridge Trainers Houston. And you read these stories and there's like children, young men and women, their bodies found brutal with bullets. And this is a danger to us all. And I hear these people equivocating about it, and there's either cartel activity there or there's not, and there is. Either this, just think about what's going on. Right now there's 75,000 illegal aliens settling in Colony Ridge, Toronto, Houston. They're being exploited. And I've been there, I've checked it out. I know what's going on. That is expected to grow to 250,000 migrants settling in this area.
Every Texan needs to know about Colony Ridge. It's September 26, 2023, and these are your headlines. I want to talk about Colony Ridge, the illegal alien housing settlement right here in Texas. We briefly mentioned it yesterday after the Republican Party of Texas unanimously called on the legislature to take action and shut it down. But if you haven't seen any of those stories, it's worth learning about because this is happening right here in Texas, right outside a major metropolitan area, and so far, nothing is being done about it. Liberty County, just north of Houston, is home to the fastest growing Hispanic population in the country and one of the fastest growing school districts in Texas. Now, why is this? Because of this Colony Ridge development. Look at the numbers. In 2020, the Colony Ridge settlement included approximately 20,000 residents. Now, it includes an estimated 75,000. Colony Ridge is known for its dealings and associations with the Gulf and Sinaloa cartels. In 2013, 300 acres of Liberty County lands were used to host what was called the largest and most sophisticated marijuana growing operation in U.S. history. The area broke another record in July of 2021 when the Drug Enforcement Administration raided a multi-million-dollar methamphetamine manufacturing lab right there in Colony Ridge. Terranos Houston, now that's the marketing program for Colony Ridge, advertises to illegal aliens by indicating that they do not require traditional bank loans, nor do they need social security numbers or a proven job history. Instead, they operate through owner-financed lots for illegal aliens who don't qualify for most of those loans. These loans are called ITIN loans, ITIN, because you don't need a social security number, you just need an ITIN or an individual tax identification number, which anybody can get. The company is particularly active on international media platforms and produces marketing videos in Spanish, promoting incentives like discounts and video tours of their new schools. Such a massive influx of children, of course, has created the need for more schools, with the land development company building 6 for Cleveland Independent School District thus far. Their enrollment, by the way, has increased from just over 6,500 students to over 12,000 over the course of just 4 years, which, as you can imagine, anybody looking at this knows, this is putting a major strain on the area and the citizens who call it home. And then there's the crime. According to an investigation by the Daily Wire recently, there's limited law enforcement presence in the area. Additionally, the Gulf and Sinaloa cartels have reportedly purchased land in the development to set up safe houses. And just today, we have a report up at Texas Scorecard on the local school district warning parents of recent fentanyl overdoses by students in the district. Some have even compared the development to a colonia, which the Texas Attorney General's office defines as quote, substandard housing developments often found along the Texas-Mexico border where residents lack basic services such as drinking water, sewage treatment, and paved roads. And consider this colonia is not on the border, it's actually north of Houston. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick and Attorney General Ken Paxton have both been asked about this during recent interviews, with both of them saying it's something the legislature may act on. But will they have the opportunity? That depends on Governor Greg Abbott. Any moment now, and I really mean any moment. It could be later today, it could be tomorrow, who knows. The governor is expected to announce a special session of the legislature. These can only be on issues he chooses, and should he choose to do so, he could add legislation to, for example, crack down on these ITIN loans to the call. That's his choice. In any case, until something is done, not only will Colony Ridge keep expanding, but the next illegal alien settlement could be coming soon to your own backyard.
And people are already leaving. I get the people that get the money from, on the gravy train of Ernest Bales, they don't have any problem with it. But it's a big issue. It's a big issue. And this is going to affect us all. And, people are having to move out. They have to move out. It's not safe. Like I said, people there are dying. And now we have cartel members, apparently assassins, Sicario, running around in our area, indiscriminately killing men, women, and children. And this is because of Ernest Bales protecting. He said it. I heard him say it from his own lips that he's in Austin working to protect the interests of Colony Ridge, Terrenos, Houston. I was there, and he addressed a bunch of people, including me, about his intention to do that. So this is not libel. This is what's going on. People are being trafficked in Colony Ridge. Children are being killed. I was talking to a high school student. This is a huge burden on us. We have to pay, every time you turn around, it's another school bond. So that's talking to this high school student. She's saying, now we got, kids dropping like flies, fentanyl overdoses here in our high school because we have cartel activity over here. And it's because of Bales. And this isn't just me. Wayne Dolcefino, investigative reporter, Wayne Dolcefino, you can watch it yourself. He did this investigation. On both of his investigative reports, Ernest Bales comes up because Ernest Bales is involved in it. We need to have a criminal investigation of what's going on in there. And I'm sure we'll find out, but it's very possible that Ernest Bales could be implicated. So Todd Bensman did an article on what's going on in Colony Ridge, wrote a book about it. And also Wayne Dolcefino. And whoever does anything, the name of Ernest Bales is always turning up. And now we have the Daily Wire. So this issue of Colony Ridge, Terrenos, Houston has been going on since probably 2016-17 in a big way. I'm sure before that there were some issues, but now it's this is a big problem. It's been a big problem since 2017 especially. And Wayne Dolcefino's report, what's it entitled? The Sound of Silence. Why? Because we cry out about what's going on in our community with Colony Ridge, Trey Harris, and Terrenos, Houston, and Bales and Jay Knight's involvement in it. Falls on deaf ears until now, until the Daily Wire picked up the story. And, once again, like I said, anybody does any reporting on it, the name of Ernest Bales comes up. And this Colony Ridge, Terrenos, Houston represents a danger to our community. I've known churches have to close down in that area. The traffic's horrible, the infrastructure's awful, it's prone to flooding, it's polluted. And these people have no integrity. It's just all about a quick buck, and they don't care about what happens to our community and the families that have lived here for generations. They're willing just to destroy that all so they can pocket some cash and take the money and run. Because once it spills over, once Colony Ridge, Terrenos, Houston consumes Liberty and San Jacinto County, Ernest Bales is probably just going to bail on us like he has his whole life and his whole time in Austin in the state legislature. Bails on Texas, bails on Republicanism, the Republican Party bails on conservatism, and we need to take a stand against Ernest Bales. We need change, and I'm not libeling this man. I'm just showing people his record. Texas scorecard, Texas right to life, Defend Texas Liberty, the Daily Wire, Wayne Dolcefino. I think what's been going on is this information has been repressed for far too long. But now the Daily Wire has picked up this story, it's been exposed, and I believe Ernest Bales is going to be held accountable. And people need to ask him questions. It's like, why did you support transgender legislation? Why did you get a 43? And then his rating on, it's the same thing, his rating on his fiscal, he says, I'm a fiscal conservative. That's what he claims. He's not a social conservative. He's not a conservative Republican. He claims he's a fiscal conservative. But his grade given to him by Texans for fiscal responsibility on his economic policy is the same as his pro-life support. It's in I think his fiscal rating, fiscal policy rating is like 48%, which is failing, right? And his pro-life was 43%. Now that he's being watched, he's not overtly supporting abortion the way he did in his first term. But he's not a fiscal conservative. He's a left-wing Democrat, and he's playing the people. And people need to wake up and realize what's at stake. Our nation's in decline. We need people who are going to fight back and stand for conservative principles. And it's not a game anymore. We need to be very serious. And if this guy's got, he's working with the Democrats all the time, just get this bozo out of there. And I've said this before. At the very least, a Republican in Austin should at least vote as a Republican, right? But Ernest Bales votes with the Democrats. He empowers the Democrat Party to make sure that the Democrats' control of the Texas state legislature endures, going to the extent of subverting and obstructing conservatism and undermining our properly elected and very effective Attorney General. So we need change. We need to get some real conservatives in there. People are going to stand up and fight for Texas and American and conservative values. So it's time to send Ernest Bales back home and confront the needs and problems of our community. This man he turned our House district into a sanctuary city and allowed Mexican cartels to set up shop. And they're doing what they do. So it's like, oh, we have, what do you think the Mexican drug cartels are about? Wake up. Human trafficking, sex trafficking, child trafficking, drug trafficking. That's their business. And they're here just 5 miles from where I am right now. And it's because of Ernest Bales. People are dying because of Ernest Bales' policies. We're unsafe. Our lives are at risk. Crime is starting to spring out of control. We're not safe. We're not secure. People having to leave the area. We have all this, we've got to build all these schools because of Ernest Bales, his support of the teachers union. And, I was in the event. He was campaigning. It's like, because of me and my policies, we have the largest, fastest growing school district in the country. So he knows exactly what he's doing. And that's why he wore the purple shirt. He's a Marxist, left-wing, socialist Democrat. And he's flipping our district from red to blue, and his intent is to flip Texas blue so that our country's lost. The Marxists have control. And he's a warrior for the left. He's a warrior for the socialist, Marxist agenda. And we need to take this fighter for the other side out and put someone in there who's going to fight for America, fight for Texas, and fight for conservatism. And that's what I'll do. Don't vote for Ernest Bales. Let's send him packing and vote for a serious, committed, conservative warrior, me, that'll confront these issues. Actually, I'm glad that the news is tackling the issue of Tyrannus Houston Colony Ridge, and I hope that there are criminal investigations. I hope there's arrests. I hope that laws are changed to put an end to that. I hope it happens within a few months, because it's awful what's going on. And it's awful for anybody that claims to be a Christian. Oh, I'm a pastor, and you're supporting this man who has a pro-abortion record, who supports transgenderism, who's trying to flip Texas blue. What does that mean? You know what that means for Christians? When you have a Marxist, atheist, secularist, anti-Christian people in power, and you're a Christian, you're evangelical, supposedly, and you're going to support that, you're supporting their candidate, you're supporting Ernest Bales, the left-wing candidate. How can you choose you this day whom you're going to serve? You're going to serve the socialist, Marxist, Democrat left? You're going to serve the Biden administration? Are we going to take a stand on biblical principles and serve the Lord? So you so-called pastors out there supporting this man who has a record for supporting abortion, who has a record for supporting transgenderism, who has a record of allowing human, drug, sex, and child trafficking to take place in our community, who stood up with his purple shirt to show his intent to flip our Texas from our state from red to blue. I mean, you support that? Wake up. This is very serious. We look back in the World War II. What do you think of these pastors that supported Adolf Hitler? And there were some, Catholic Church and Protestants, supporting this evil man. You're going to give account of it in the day of judgment. And we need to get rid of this guy because it's serious. This is a very serious time. This is a very serious election. On top of everything else, Ernest Bales is a never-Trumper. I mean, obviously, anyone who would stand with the CRT-loving Marxist left-wing teachers union is hostile to everything that the gospel and the state of Texas and our Constitution represents. So it's time for a change. Let's vote Ernest Bales out of office to get the state of Texas back on the right track.